Barrel rolls is the reporter thrown into the secretive world of the Forex Super Model, where nothing is as it seems. Beware the techno-monk, and steer clear of Professor Code and his two assistants. Give the senior trader a wide berth, and don't expect any sense from the risk manager.
Good morning, I'm Professor Code. This is the Forex Super Model Daily Market Analysis Briefing for Wednesday, the 11th of November 2020. And the time is, well, it's 25 past 5, 0525 London time, GMT. We've had the Asian session, we're firing up the European session, and the US North American session is ahead of us at about lunchtime. So let's get this underway. Yesterday, Tuesday, which was the 10th, the flows look like this. We had the dollar, the yen and the euro on the negative side, and we had the pound on the positive side as the unopposed positive driver, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this was 279, this was minus 74, the euro. The yen was minus 90 and the dollar was minus 115. So this was the driver, it was a positive driver and it was unopposed. The euro was the rock, the yen was the mover, and the dollar was the secondary driver. Now, as a quick check then, so 115 plus 90 plus 74 gives us 279, so we're in balance. Right, so that was Tuesday, for the whole of Tuesday, which was yesterday. So that was Tuesday the 10th of the 11th. Now, just a quick comment on that then. Obviously we've got an extreme position on the pound. We're expecting flows into the pound and flows out of the yen, if you remember. We've got the unopposed positive driver in the pound, and well, we'll look at the intra-week flows now. So this is what they are. So we have the yen here, the euro, then we have the dollar and the pound. And if we looked at the figures, it was plus 567 on the pound, plus 140 on the dollar, minus 48 on the euro, and minus 659 on the yen. Now, the biggest of these is the yen. So we had a negative driver in the yen. It was opposed by the euro. So the euro was the rock, the negative rock. The mover was the dollar, and the pound was the secondary driver, the positive secondary driver. Now these are flows, these are intra-week flows from Monday the 9th, which was the beginning of the week, to about half an hour ago. So yesterday then we had everybody basically piling into the pound and it was the unopposed positive driver. The opposing flows, you can see, went into the dollar, into the yen and into the euro, and they were fairly well balanced. You can see that 115.90, 74 aren't particularly skewed. So whilst the dollar was the main loser, so was the yen and the euro to a lesser extent. So we had this situation. Now, from the beginning of the week, to give us an idea of how the flows are progressing during the week, we can see that the pound wasn't the driver this time. The yen was the negative driver, and it was the opposed negative driver opposed by the euro. So we've got yen weakness predominating this week, really, with pound strength. And if you look at these figures here for the euro and the dollar, they're quite static and muted at 48 and 140. So the action is in the yen and the pound so far this week, despite what other things may have looked like. So far, let's just turn this over. So far this morning and today, these have been the flows. So let's have a look at these. So we've got the pound. I know my pound signs are awful, I've been told that. So we've got the dollar there, and we've got euro and yen. So if we put the figures in, it's plus 50 on the yen, plus 10 on the euro, minus 13 on the dollar, and minus 47 on the pound. Now we've just got a positive driver in the yen here. It's opposed by the euro, so the euro is the positive rock, and the dollar is the mover, the negative mover, and the pound is the negative secondary driver. Right, so let's just put this down a sec. No, add that bit. Right, now what we've got then is a situation, as I've said before, is if you get an unopposed driver, and yesterday with the pound was the unopposed positive driver on a daily basis, then this tells you two things, one of two things. One, if it's a positive driver, it could be a top, or as I've said before, it can be the start of a large up move in the complex, in this case the pound. Now, looking at the overall scenario at the moment, we've had a good ramp up in the pound, and it's likely that we're going to have a short-term top here, because if we look at the data prints for today, Wednesday, it's very light. We had New Zealand overnight in the Asian session with their interest rate announcement, and then today really is some meetings and some bits and bobs. But tomorrow is interesting. Yes, tomorrow we've got GDP for the pound, GBP, and we've also got another meeting from the Bank of England, the Old Bailey, and we've also got German CPI and US CPI for the retail sector. So we've got some sort of data print risk in the tube for tomorrow. Now it's likely, put this down, it's likely in our view that given the way the flows have developed, that we've got this unopposed positive driver in the pound. On a weekly basis, the pound is the beneficial, if I could say it, is beneficial of these positive flows from the yen, which is showing us driving weakness. And so far today, the pound is coming off and the yen is coming up. Now yesterday was interesting in that we had quite mixed US equities. The Nasdaq was really getting pounded, and the S&P 500 was hanging in there, albeit on the negative side, but it was hanging in there. And this normally, when you get a real pasting in the equity markets, then the yen is elevated on risk off transmissions, and this was what was propping the yen up yesterday, really. And despite that, the yen still managed to be the negative mover. So that was interesting. We were expecting a bit more yen weakness, and had we had even a flat day on equities or an up day, then the yen would have probably at least been near the negative driver, the opposed negative driver, but it wasn't. So and therefore the pound took over. But so we've had a little bit of equity disruption yesterday, and yet the yen didn't massively rise up under normal circumstances. So which was due to the yen positioning, as we mentioned. So looking ahead, what we expect to happen then, given that the pound is probably a short-term top, we expect with the data in the tube tomorrow that the GBP will be sold off slightly, not madly probably, into the GDP print tomorrow. So it's likely that the GDP will come in relatively soft, and I think they'll front run it today. So what will happen is the pound pairs will come off. They'll weaken, and so flows will come out of the pound, and then they'll have to go into somewhere, and it'll either be if we get a risk-off situation with equities again, then the flows will inevitably end up in the yen. And if we don't, if we get a continuation of equity strength, then you're going to see flows probably dirging in the yen. They're still going to be iffy, but they're going to dirge, and you're going to see the negative flows out of the pound going into probably the euro. Probably the euro. So the likelihood going forward is, I'll just make some space here, is that the pair of interest, given that scenario, will be the euro pound. So it'd be worth looking at the euro pound on that basis. So we expect the pound to come off, and depending on the equity transmission, which we're not sure of at the moment, obviously no one is at this stage, then we're going to get a situation where we probably get this sort of scenario happening, where we get a ramp up in the euro and a fall in the pound. So you'd want to be looking at potential long trades in the euro pound today. But again, as I've said, don't just say yippee and pile in. We've got a trading video coming out on how to trade the models, or a suggested way of how to trade the models. If you're aware of potential flows during the day, then you're well ahead of the game. So we're trying to work on this video. It's proving quite difficult at the moment. The senior traders being a bit awkward at the moment, but I'm sure we'll get through it. So that's where we're at then. I would, just to sum up, the pound is likely to come off as we front run into tomorrow's GDP data, which is expected to be soft. by us anyway. And these negative flows out of the pound, and it's likely that we're going to get a bit of a mixed day on equities. Therefore, the yen is going to probably dirge as well. So the main benefactor of this, we believe, will be the euro, and it's possible that German CPI figures tomorrow will be quite strong, and that will help the case there in the short term. And you've got Lagarde having a speech and banging on about the usual stuff. So that is the scenario. If I was going to have a go at something short term today, I'd be looking at long euro pound. Okay, hope this helps. See you tomorrow.